answer, but I'll defer to them about this part. We're excited to have you. 6:30 on a Thursday. I know that you guys all have places that you would like to be, but you should also know that you're saving me right now from trying to put my 2-year-old to sleep, which for the past 2 weeks has been, you've all done this. They hit that at one point, it's impossible. And she's become very good at stalling and wanting mom and dad, and going back and forth. So tonight I don't have to do that. I'm excited to be here with you guys as you go through this. What we're going to try and do in the next hour and a half is take a course that your sons are doing over the course of 12 cycles. Please come in for 45 minutes of class, so 12 classes in 45 minutes. We're going to try and get you all of that content, or close to it, in an hour and a half. So it's a heavy task. We have a lot of slides. I'll do my best to lighten the mood and keep us going and keep us on a good pace to make sure we get everything done. And out of the gate, one thing I do want to show you, which I'm kind of excited about, which is new this year, is we have a junior group guidance class. And so in years past, group guidance was a group in your son's settings. And this year it's a class which enables us to kind of use all of the website that BC High offers, and even to give quizzes. And so you as family members also have this content. And if at any point your adolescent, sometimes moody teenage son is not giving you much of an answer about what's going on in guidance class, you can go around him by either using the textbook that was out for sale, which corresponds to this, or follow along in our topics page, which goes cycle by cycle through all the content we're covering. And so here you'll see the cycles that are not, these are where we would have lectured or where we had content we wanted to bring forward, where they weren't doing their Common App or writing in class. We tried to create a cycle topic page for that. You can access this, and right now we're doing a quick cycle, which is college applications, the different types of applications. And instead of slides, we have these kind of interactive websites which are a little more flashy, but it just walks through all the content that your sons will be getting. So again, if you want to follow through with what they're getting, please feel free to access this. Based on numbers of views, it looks like parents are starting to see this. We have about 300 students in the junior class. Some of those pages have over 500 views. So at this point, it already seems like it's a tool that's kind of made its way into the household. But if it hasn't, please feel free to access that. And with that, we'll start going through. Tonight's program, please come on in. Don't be excited about it. So what we'll run through today, the junior group guidance curriculum, what that looks like. We'll take some time to talk about standardized testing and answer any questions you may have. We'll talk about college exploration, the search process, and Naviance as a tool for that as we begin that search process. Recommendation, preparation, what the meeting will look like with me and your son, and the multiple meetings we'll have this spring as they set forth into the summer where they're really boiling down and finalizing their list. We'll talk about the junior year events that are coming up, and then we'll talk about what next year will look like for them. So again, lots of information as we move ahead. For juniors, for your sons this year, this is kind of what we're looking for as critical from them. Participate in the junior guidance classes. And if I were to go back into that website, I could show you the quizzes we're giving them on the content. So even if they say, I don't understand this or this, we have 5-question quizzes at the end of every cycle that do affirm that your sons are retaining the content. So participation there, completing those quizzes, talking about standardized testing, and then creating a plan around college visits, thinking about which teachers you want for recommendation letters, and events that are coming up in the future. To get a sense of what group guidance is like, it is a group that is much smaller than this. So we're going to cut probably only the first 2 or 3 rows here, which gives us a lot of flexibility. We can go through the content pretty quickly, and then what we can also do is kind of talk to your sons one-on-one, pertaining to whatever questions they have as we're going through this and field their questions. Again, we're going to talk with your sons about standardized testing. We did course selection these past few weeks with your sons. We'll talk about the college search criteria. We'll start to prep them for college visits, which will happen throughout the fall next year, college interviews, which will happen on campus next year. Over here we have Miss Jen Garrity, who's one of our interns in the guidance department. She's been critical for us in our office operating this year, especially for the seniors, and preparing them for the interviews that happen at BC High. We'll have over 20 colleges come to our campus and conduct interviews on site all day. If one of those schools is on your son's list, we strongly recommend that they do a mock interview with Ms. Garrity or one of the interns, and then they ask any questions for us, polish that up, and then participate in that interview, take advantage of that opportunity to tell their story. Next cycle, so not this upcoming week, the week after, your sons are going to start the Common Application. Common App last year changed their policy. It used to be that it would open for access on August 1st before your senior year. Feedback from counselors, feedback from students, feedback from families, and they said, all right, what we'll do is we'll open it up earlier, that way students can get that done faster. So ideally what's gonna happen here, your sons are gonna step into summer, ready to kind of accelerate through those applications, finish those up, and when we get back next fall, they'll be ready to hit submit as they walk in the door. All they'll need to do is kind of edit, have a few bits of feedback on their essay from their teachers. All right, standardized testing. Show of hands, how many folks have had their sons take at least one standardized test, whether ACT or SAT? Excellent. And if not, there's still plenty of time. That's not a problem at all. The SAT is the same, or the SAT that we kind of remember. In the past few years, the SAT has changed. And the SAT was redesigned in an effort to gain market share back from the ACT. What was happening nationally is that the number of students taking the SAT was going down. Students found it more difficult. It was so vocabulary dense. And they found that the ACT, which is a test designed to evaluate your mastery of a standard high school curriculum, was a better test. Students felt more comfortable with it. As a result, more students taking the ACT. The other thing the ACT started to do was write statewide tests for a lot of states in the Midwest. So the ACT was starting to take actual SAT testers away, but then they were also securing these statewide contracts so that all elementary, middle, and high school students would be assessed by the ACT company. That's a whole lot of money when you think about this kind of, the way education has gone in the past 15 years in terms of standardized testing. The SAT decided they needed to change gears, follow what the ACT was doing a little bit, so now you have a test that's a little bit more similar. The main distinction being the SAT doesn't have an explicit science section, whereas the ACT does have an explicit science section. In the SAT, the science section is kind of built into some of the different areas, whether that's reading comprehension or math or things like that. They have science questions built in there. SAT 2 subject tests are coming up and will be a priority for some of your sons if they're taking AP exams or honors courses. SAT subject tests are 1 hour tests. You can take them into 3 sciences: biology, chemistry, physics. You can take an English, literature test. You can take 2 math tests. We're good. And there are foreign language tests as well. Those tests are only required by a little over 20 schools nationwide, and that number is going down. Georgetown, for example, is one of the schools that requires those tests. So you're talking about the most elite competitive universities may still require these. And as I meet with your son,
How many do they usually require?
they usually require 2. Georgetown, there's at least one that requires 3. You can take up to 3 tests in one day. So some of your sons have talked to me about which SAT subject test do I want to take. I'm only in physics honors, I want to take physics honors, and that's it. The problem is, if you only take 1 test, you're in there for an hour, you can't go into the regular SAT then, and those tests happen on the same days. So you need your SAT subject test to be one full SAT testing day. If you're going to be in there taking physics, you might as well look at your report card, think about your courses, and take 2 or 3 tests that day, just in case, because then you're going to have to wait for the next test date as it is. So if you're going to take one SAT subject test, you should be taking at least 2, if not 3. And a question that is often asked here is, so if he takes these 2 SAT 2 subject tests, he takes 1 in Spanish and it's terrible, does he have to send that then on to the college? No. You, as families, as students, own those test scores. Those are your test scores. You get to choose which test scores you send. When you go to select your SAT scores, your SAT subject test scores, you're gonna click right beside the scores you want to send, and then which schools you want those to go on to. When you send your scores, they do not send, just so you know, college, he took 4 other tests, he's not sending it. You choose the scores you want, those go on to the college, that's how that works. The other, we have 2 remaining test days for the SAT, May 6th and June 3rd. If your son's in an AP, his teacher probably told him to consider the May 6th for the AP SAT subject test. It's about the time of the AP exams. However, if he's in a regular course, you're gonna look at that June 3rd test date, and you may wanna settle on that if he's got another month left of content before he gets to that test. The ACT, we talked about this a little bit already. The primary difference are, we have a shift, it's not a May date left, you have an April date left. If you are gonna take that April test, you're gonna wanna sign up soon. I believe you're in late registration, and then you have a June 10th test as well. And your sons are not thrilled about that date. They know that on June 8th they're done. And I'm like, oh guys, guess what? They're like, you finished. Just kidding. Come in on a Saturday, wake up at 6 o'clock, and then drive somewhere and take a test for 5 hours. But they are going to need to do that. There are opportunities to take both of these tests again in the fall. And for the first time this year, the SAT is offering an August test date. Previously, I think October had been their first test date, so they're offering an August test date now.
Mr. Artie, can I ask a question about the ACT?
Yeah.
Do you submit just your total score? So if your score was a 30.
Yep.
You submit your 30. It's not in sections. The SAT used to be able to do submit your highest math, submit your highest English.
In the SAT, most schools would do is super score. So you take your highest math and highest. So super scoring means essentially taking the highest score out of the reading section and then the highest score of the math section, regardless of the test date, and combining those for the highest score. The super score, your kids are like, oh, colleges are so nice and kind. They're just looking out for me, the little guy, the applicant, and they're not. When colleges super score, they're trying to get the highest average score of their accepted students. So they drop the low math score in there, they drop the low reading score, and what that does is when they report their averages to US News and World Report, it says they have a higher SAT score, they get to go up a little higher in those rankings. The ACT, for the most part, is not super scored. Some schools will, but that is a great question for you to ask when you're on a college visit. How do you take the scores of the subsections on the ACT? When you order the test, all those subsections will be there, but many schools will just look at the composite score, which is out of 36 on the ACT. One thing we did earlier this year is we connected all of your sons to Khan Academy. They took the PSAT in October. That school report came back and they had their online SAT account, the College Board account. We connected that to Khan Academy, which is kind of the online classroom that's emerged over the past 7 years, where you have almost any course you could think of is available for free online. What they do with their SATs, their PSAT scores, is it takes your son's answer-by-answer responses, finds the gaps in their learning, and then directly points them to the videos and content that they need to watch. And so it's pretty tailored and individualized. And Khan Academy also has a feature where you can set how many hours per day you want to do it, or how many minutes per day. So the low end is 15 minutes per day, high end is an hour, hour and a half. You select the time, and your son selects the time. And he selects his test date, and it automatically fills in a calendar of videos for him to watch and problems for him to answer to be as prepared as possible for that test date. So that's a great free resource. We do offer the ACT test prep at BC High, but as far as SAT test prep, that is a fantastic resource that your son should be taking advantage of. If testing is not your son's thing, fairtest.org has a list of test optional schools. Meaning when you apply, your son applies next year, he can click a button that says, please do not evaluate, or please do not include my test scores in your evaluation of my application. Most common ones for BC High students: Holy Cross, Providence College, Stonehill, Bowdoin, Middlebury, Fairfield, St. Anselm, Wheaton. All of those schools and more, over 400, will not look at your son's test scores if testing is not his strong suit. again, your son say, oh my God, these colleges are great, they wanna do everything they can so I can get in the door, and they're just trying to help me out. And again, it's the same reason they're colleges, they need that US News and World Report. And so when they have applicants choosing, please don't evaluate my test scores, they're not having kids who are scoring 1,600 saying, don't count my test scores. They're not having 36 ACT scores saying, don't look at my test scores. They're having kids who are really low, and what happens at that point is, again, the averages rise, and when they tell them to the newspaper, they tell them to everyone, it looks like their average accepted student has a higher score.
Do you recommend that students take the SAT and the ACT, or to take one and then repeat it and try to get that one score better?
So at this point, all of your sons have taken an ACT that was created or tailored for BC High, and they took the PSAT. So they have comparable scores. They also have an experience in both tests. I would say defer to your sons on which one is more comfortable. There are concordance tables which show you basically what the scores are equivalent to. I can send you a link to those. Look at those concordance tables, figure out which test is higher, which test your son feels better about, and just defer to that one. You're welcome to take both tests. But again, at the end of the day, you're not required to send any test scores. You can go test optional. And if he tries the ACT and tries the SAT and the SAT is abysmal, fine, just don't send it. Fee waivers are available for students. I'll reach out to students based on some of the information. We don't get detailed financial aid information from our finance office, but we just get flags of students they believe would be eligible for fee waivers, so I'll reach out to those students. But if you think your family would be eligible, please reach out. All right. This is a cartoon, I'm sure you can't read it. Oh, go ahead, question.
Regarding to the testing on the
Yeah.
Khan Academy,
Yeah.
how are the score correlate to the SAT score? I mean, in terms of
So yeah, I don't think they have research out on that tells you how many points you can expect to gain, but all of their setup is done in a way that would lead me to believe if it's targeting the questions they got wrong and it's providing content to counter that, that should be pretty effective. But that, so far as I know, they haven't released any research on that and how effective it is.